Hello, and welcome to the Power of Forgiveness Masterclass Part 1. My name is Michelle Catino, and I'm so glad you decided to join me today. Just by you being here lets me know you're ready to close some chapters and start on a journey of purpose and healing. And I'm here to help you do just that. If you were able to print out the workbook, grab your pen and grab a copy. And if you weren't able to print it out, don't worry. Just grab a notebook or a piece of paper or even your journal and a pen. Any of those will work. And I'll give you a moment to get it together. Okay. So again, thank you for joining me today for the Power of Forgiveness Workshop Masterclass Part 1. And today we're going to be talking about forgiving ourselves, forgiving yourself. And to start with forgiving yourself, you have to start with an FYI. And what is FYI? It's definitely not for your information. Forgive yourself intentionally. That means forgive yourself on purpose with purpose. That's right. Forgive yourself on purpose with a purpose. And I know that you're always told to forgive and forget without an explanation on how to make that happen. And that's the hard part, how to forgive. It's not that easy. But with the Power of Forgiveness Masterclass, we'll give you the tools that you need to get it done. And today we'll be focusing on 4 steps. And these 4 steps is really going to focus on your emotions because the only person that you have control over is you. You cannot control anyone else's feelings or emotions or behaviors, but you can definitely take control of your own. So these 4 steps are going to be broken down into one. What mistakes are you beating yourself up for? The second step is, how are you punishing yourself for those mistakes? The third step is, how are you directly or indirectly punishing others for those mistakes? And the fourth step is, you must release yourself from the burden of those mistakes. And in order to get these steps done, you must remember that you must always be persistent. You must have faith. You can't give up. Do not give up. It takes time. And know that skepticism is going to be an expected part of all of this. But if you keep it up and you are persistent and you have faith and you don't give up, it'll soon be replaced with determination. Remember the quote, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And that's definitely what you want to be. You want to control your fate. You want to control your soul. You want to control how you show up in this world and how you interact with others. You can't give people the power over you. And with forgiveness, you take some of that power back. So let's get started with step 1. And again, step 1 is, what mistakes are you beating yourself up for? So for this step, you're going to make a list of actions from your past you may regret or mistakes you've made that you're still beating yourself up for. And with this step, I don't want you to go into detail, just list them. Like, for example, for me, I used to beat myself up for my failed relationships. So my list would look something like 1, not using my voice or not being more vocal. Another step would be accepting behaviors I knew were unacceptable. A third might be not leaving or ending those relationships sooner. And a fourth for me would be just not doing better in the moments when I know that I should have done better. So you get the idea. So I'll give you a moment to jot down some things. And again, just make a quick list. Don't, explain them or go into detail. Just jot down a few things on your list. And take your time. You have time. So I'll give you a few moments just to make a few notes. Okay, how did that feel? It feels good to let that off your chest, doesn't it? All right, so now we're going to go to step two. How are you punishing yourself for those mistakes? And in this part, you're going to make a list of ways you're denying or punishing yourself for those mistakes. And here you can go into a little bit more detail into which ways you're punishing yourself. And I'll tell you one thing, the major way that we all punish ourselves is our inner critic. And your inner critic is not your friend. It's definitely not your friend, but you must pay attention to what he or she may be telling you and then deal with it. You have to learn to quiet that voice and turn those negative things into positive things. My inner critic used to say so many bad things to me. It used to call me stupid and dumb and some other choice words that I just won't repeat here. And it made me withdraw. It made me become elusive. It made me become depressed. I didn't allow new relationships and I avoided social events, and the list goes on. So with my inner critic, I had to learn to listen to what it said, deal with what it said, and then move on. And what I mean by that is I should have listened, to Maya Angelou and everybody else when they tell you that when people show you who they are, believe them. I decided not to do that. I decided to treat people the way I fantasized about them. I lived in a fantasy bubble. So I knew that they had potential and I used my thoughts of their potential on how I chose to deal with them instead of dealing with who and what they continuously showed me. So now when it comes to my inner critic, calling me dumb and stupid because I lived in that fantasy world, I always tell my inner critic, okay, well, back then I was a little slow. I was a little dumb, but when you know better, you grow better. And that's what I did. I started to know better, so I grew better. Or I knew better, so I grew better. And that's all you have to do. You have to change those negatives into positives because yeah, you may have been one way years ago, but the experience and everything that you went through taught you better. So you know not to become that person again, not to deal with those, situations the exact same way. You'll know in the future to be more, to, do something different. So right now, I'm just going to give you a moment to jot down a couple of things as to how you're punishing or you're denying yourself. And again, some of mine were just, the withdrawal and depression and everything else that comes with it. And especially my inner critic telling me some pretty bad things, but some pretty bad things that at that moment I needed to hear, but I didn't need to continuously need to hear it because I had grown. So take a moment to jot down some things. And again, you can use a little bit more detail with this step. I'll wait. Whew. Exhale. Whew. That's right. Blow that breath out because this is hard. Being transparent and telling yourself the truth is one of the hardest things that you have to do because it's really hard to face the fact that at one point in our life, we didn't, live up to our full potential. We were stupid or we were dumb or, we let something ride when we shouldn't have let it ride. And those things, play with us and it plays on our emotions and it brings us a feeling of incompetence or feeling like you're less than, and you have to pull yourself out of that. And if you don't, you'll realize that you are actually punishing others for those behaviors. All right, exhale. Whew. Telling yourself the truth can be very hard and painful, but trust me, it's healing. And right now, when you're doing this masterclass, this is a time for you to get really honest and get really open and be very candid about your past, whether it's past traumas, whether it's, bad relationships, whether it's a loss, whether it's something with a friendship or a familiar relationship, whatever it is, you have to be very honest with yourself And you also have to hold yourself accountable. What part did you play? What role did you play in all this? Because this is what we're talking about in the first part of forgive yourself intentionally. You have to really be 100% true in what it is that you did in all of this, what it is in your part. So when I talk about, those bad relationships that I had and how I was treated, my part was I wasn't more vocal. I didn't step up and do the things that I know I should have done. I didn't walk away. I stayed. And again, I kept fantasizing and living in this fantasy world and ignoring the reality of it all. So, you can't beat yourself up for things that you may have done in your past. The past has happened. It's done. It's gone. Now you have to live for today. So in step 3, what I really want everybody to look into is how are you directly or indirectly punishing others for those mistakes? And what I mean by that, I'll explain in a minute, but what I want you to do is to make a list of the actions and behaviors you've adopted to punish or teach someone a lesson based on those mistakes. And so simply put, I want you to write down what are you doing to others as a result of what others did to you. Makes a lot of sense, right? Okay. So with me, I'll give you some examples. I became hard as a rock, and I had less patience. And of course, my trust level was so low. So if anybody new came into my life, like I just didn't have the patience for it. The moment that, you said the wrong word or you breathed too heavy, whatever it was, I just dismissed it because I just didn't want to be bothered. And I didn't want to find myself back in the same space that I was before. And, that wall went up. And when that wall went up, it was very hard for anybody to break it down, including me. And I changed towards some people in my life, and I blocked out some people in my life. And not because of anything they did to me directly, it was just me dealing with how I was treated and not knowing how to change those emotions and those feelings into something productive. So right now, I just want you to jot down some things. And remember, it's really, what are you doing to others as a result of what others did to you? And I'll give you a moment. All right. Now, this is the hard part. This is where it really gets heavy. Okay, so I hope you're ready. Here in step 4, you must release yourself from the burden of those mistakes. Guilt and remorse are silent killers. Holding on to pain and reliving mistakes cause you more pain. It's time to let it go. And, if you had a friend instead of you, think about it this way. What if one of your friends came to you and they told you they made a mistake? Okay, in my situation, if a friend came to me and said, hey, I was with somebody and they cheated on me more than once, and I stayed and I knew better, but I didn't do anything. And, I just let it progress into something ugly until I got to a point where enough was enough. And then I finally said, that's it. And I walked away, but I'm so stupid. I should have walked away sooner. Now, if that was a friend telling me that, I wouldn't beat them up more because I know they've already beat themselves up. Instead, I would tell that friend, listen, you did what you thought was best in that situation at that time. But as time progressed and you really got to understand yourself and knew that you shouldn't have dealt with that, you got yourself out of it and you moved on. So be happy and be proud in the fact that you're no longer in that situation. You had the wherewithal to get it together to walk away. So don't beat yourself up for something that happened. You took the necessary steps and now you aren't there anymore. So that's a victory. And that's what I would tell a friend. So what you need to do is to learn to take your own advice. Learn to take the emotion out of it. You have control over that. So when you're going through or your inner critic is telling you something, talk to it like you would talk to a friend. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. Bring all that compassion and that sympathy here in this moment to talk to yourself in a sweet, loving, kind, compassionate, sympathetic, empathetic way that you would speak to a friend going through the same situation. you know. And also, you have to stop replaying the mistakes over and over. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many times I thought about, oh, and he did this, and how dare he did this, and he did that, and etc., etc., etc. And I kept going on and reliving the same things over and over and over again, and working out different ways and scenarios of how I should have handled it, and how I could have handled it, and what I should have done, and how stupid I was in the moment. And you get the picture, because I'm quite sure I'm not alone, and I'm quite sure as many of you who've done and are doing the exact same thing that I did. So you have to stop replaying those mistakes over and over. And again, it's in the past. It already happened. You can't change it. You can only control today and how you react to what happens in the past. You cannot go back and change anything. You cannot fix it. You can fix today. You can fix yourself today, and know that if those situations arrive today, you're better. You know better. You've grown better. So if those situations come to you now, you know how to handle them. Am I right? You know I am. So forgiveness is important for healing. And you have to rid yourself of the anger and the guilt and the shame and the sadness of every other feeling you've attached to those experiences and to those mistakes. And I'll tell you one thing, the brain is a very powerful tool. It is so powerful. And whatever you keep telling it in repetition is what it's going to follow. So if you start telling yourself negative things and you continuously tell yourself negative things, you're always going to have that negativity surrounding you. You're always going to have that self-doubt. You're always going to have a low self-worth. You're always going to have a low self-confidence. But if you boost yourself up like, hey, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm not my mistakes, I've overpassed and I've overcome and I've done, other things and I've had victories. If you keep telling yourself more positive things, the positive will take over. And you'll see that you have this boost of confidence and this boost of self-worth and this boost of, just being who you are and knowing who you are and loving who you are. And the reason why I say the brain is a powerful tool, if you don't believe me, think about this. Have you ever saw someone and knew they looked familiar, but you couldn't place where you knew them from? But you searched your mind in that moment and you said, okay, where do I know them from? Their face is so familiar. And you sent a signal to your brain to search and figure out, where did you know them from? So you go on with your day and you're out shopping, or you're with your girls, or you're with your boys, and you're doing your thing. And say 4 hours later, you're in the shower and it comes to you, oh my gosh, I know them from, a party or a friend or an ex or whomever, but that's how I know them. Now I recognize the face. That was, Bob from accounting, his cousin, or that was my hairdresser's, stylist, or the nail technician's cousin, or something like that, but it still comes back to you. And the reason why it comes back to you in that moment is because you sent a signal to your brain to search and figure out and find out who this person was, because they're familiar to you. And that's what I mean about the brain. It is powerful. Whatever you tell it to search out and seek is exactly what it's going to search out and seek. So if you tell it to search out negative things, it's going to search and seek negative things. If you tell it to search out positive things, it's going to search and seek positive things. So for this exercise, I want you to write a sort of love letter to yourself. And it's going to begin, I forgive myself for. And here, you're going to really write down all the things you forgive yourself for, whether it's past traumas, whether it's mistakes, whether it's how you deal with individuals, whether it's something you've done to someone else, whatever it is, you have to start with the forgiveness of yourself. So here, I want you to say, I forgive myself for, and just take down a few notes right now and some bullet points, because you can flesh this out after the class is over. But just put down some bullet points as to the things or the people or the situations that you really want to forgive yourself for, and especially for those mistakes? What are those things? So I'll give you a moment to jot down a couple of notes. And again, just bullet points so that you can go back and flesh it out after the masterclass is over. All right. Now, I hope you feel good about what you just did, because you did something amazing. You did something incredible. You wrote down the blueprint of how you're going to get to a space of forgiving yourself for all those things that happened in the past. And again, they already happened. So you have to get past them. You have to let them go. I know that there's a mourning period for everything, but at some point in that mourning period, you have to get to a space where it no longer hurts you. It's now a healer. You understand why it happened, or you get to some type of closure as to it happened, and I know I have to move on. Because if I stay stuck in this situation, or if I stay stuck in this moment, I will never grow. I will never get past it. I'll never be able to move on, and I'll never be able to find true happiness and live my life the way I really know that I deserve and I need to. So, with this next step, we are going to take a pledge, and it's the Power of Forgiveness Empowerment Pledge. And this pledge is just that, it's just words to say on a daily basis, every morning, a weekly basis, monthly, however many times you need to say it to yourself to refocus and recenter and get yourself back to a forgiving mood for yourself and for your past mistakes. And it's going to help you, identify your feelings and accept those mistakes, because you have to know that accepting those mistakes is inevitable. And if you learn to do that, you're going to free yourself through forgiveness, which is very important. So I want you to take the pledge with me right now, right here. Repeat after me. I am human and I make mistakes. I am growing and learning every day. I am no longer going to beat myself up for my past mistakes. It's time for me to release the pain and move forward in a more positive direction. Today, I pledge to make a conscious effort to forgive myself and accept love in my life the right way. Whew. Exhale. That's right, guys. You need to accept love in your life the right way. And the only way to do that is with forgiveness, which is a very powerful tool in our toolbox. All right. So today we've done the Power of Forgiveness, part 1, and I really hope you enjoyed it. It's going to take a lot of work on your part and a lot of truth and honesty to get to the next piece of the puzzle. But first, you have to forgive yourself. You are the most important in your life, and you are the only person you can control. So you have to forgive yourself first. And so we've done part 1, but I want you to be on the lookout for the Power of Forgiveness part 2, which will be coming soon. And today we discussed how we forgive ourselves. Part 2 will focus more on forgiving others. And I hope you join me, because in order to forgive others, we first must be accountable for our part. And we also must be truthful for our feelings and our emotions and know how to control them when we go forth in forgiving other people. Because again, we are all important. It all starts with us. Everything starts with us. We are what we can control. We can control our own emotions. We can control our own feelings. We can control our own words. We can control how we show up in this world. We have no control over anyone else. And once we master how to take care of ourselves and how to, use the power of forgiveness on ourselves, we'll be able to do that for others. So again, part 2 is coming soon, and I hope you join me. And for those who have questions, need tips, need advice, or just need a positive word every day, let's connect. My email is mcatinomlc@gmail.com. And I'm also on social media, and my social media handle is at Michelle Catino. So facebook.com/Michelle Catino, twitter.com/Michelle Catino, or at Michelle Catino. Instagram, I'm at Michelle Catino. LinkedIn, the /in-Michelle Catino. But that's where I am. And, every day it's a positive word for me. Every day it's something to look forward to. Every day I'm trying to push you to be the best you possible. And I'm also available as a life coach for one-on-one and group coaching sessions. So if you want to look into that, I'm here to help you be the best you possible in that regard as well. So reach out to me. The best way to reach me for the coaching, the life coaching, is through email. And that email address again is mcatinomlc@gmail.com. And I'm just asking that you also be sure to drop me a line and let me know what you think about today and what other topics you'd like for me to explore with you. Because this is the first of many masterclasses. And I started with forgiveness because forgiveness is really the basis of everything. It'll start us on the road to every single other thing that we have to deal with. So I felt like forgiveness was the most important. And I'm so excited because this will be our first video on YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button and become a part of, the Michelle Catino Unsuccessful Relationship Guru experience. We'll be loading a lot more content within the next 2 to 3 months. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot more content. And we'll be going through so many different things. We're starting with forgiveness, but we're also going to be talking about goal setting. We're also going to be talking about relationships. We're also going to be talking about happiness, and purpose and self-confidence and self-worth. And so there's going to be so many different topics coming to the channel. I don't want you to miss anything. And not everything is going to be a masterclass. Some are just going to be, videos just to help you get to your next level. So I hope you subscribe to the channel and be sure to follow me on Instagram at Michelle Catino, because the videos that are not directed to YouTube at first, they will definitely be on the Instagram channel. So again, it's Instagram at Michelle Catino, or hit that subscribe button and subscribe to us here on YouTube. And again, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope that you learned a little bit about yourself and you are opening yourself up to forgiveness, because you deserve it. You really do deserve it. And you deserve to live a life of happiness. So give that forgiveness on purpose, with purpose. Do those steps. Go back and do the work and continue to do the work, and just be persistent and keep at it. Because again, change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Don't give up on yourself. You deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be the best you possible. And I'm here to help you do that.